Okay, so you remember in episode 1, we milled actually this piece of lumber, this log. So what we're going to do with this is I really like this figuring. We're going to sketch out, as you can see, I got a light sketch on here already. We're going to sketch out the idea that we want for the cutting board or charcuterie board, whatever the customer wants to use it as. And then I'm going to have to reduce the size of this just a little bit. I think I'm going to stick with this design. I'm going to make it a little darker so I can see it. This does not have to be exact. Just a rough freehand drawing, just so you know where you're sawing on the outside of it a little bit. Round these corners off, just a touch. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it over here to the miter saw. And I'm going to cut it off right there so I can use this for something different, and I have less material to work with here to have to manipulate. Okay, pro tip on this, and I'm not a pro, but people like to say pro tip. When you have an irregular piece of wood, it can very easily jam on the blade. Take a couple of pieces of wood and put behind it to support it so that it doesn't kick back on you. And always use your clamp. Safety glasses on, ready to go. And because you got that piece back there, now if I didn't have that piece back there, that could have kicked back, it would have pinched my blade, could have broke my blade, bent my blade. Don't ask me how I know, but I learned the hard way. So we're going to bring this over, we're going to clamp this down, and I'm going to shut up and cut it out, but when we get done, it'll look something like this. It's going to be different, of course, but it's going to look something like this, and I'll have footage of this getting cut out as well. So the next step I'm going to do, I could use a drill, but I'm going to choose to do what's called a plunge cut. A plunge cut is done very carefully. You want to start your drill at a your saw at horizontal, and then you want to very slowly work it down in until the blade has gone through. Now you might be saying to yourself, Jeremiah, that is a rough looking cut. It is. But that's what it is. It's a rough cut. I'm going to clean this up with a drum sander. I'm going to clean it up with a spindle sander. And I'm going to clean it up with a router. And this right here is just getting the general outline cut out. While I'm doing this, I want you to go and I want you to like and subscribe, please, if you like this content. It really helps me out a lot. And I also want to let you know that I will have a list of every tool, every router bit, everything that I'm using in this episode. Last episode I did on that list as well. It does help me out. I'm an Amazon affiliate. Not going to lie about that. It helps me out a little bit. But it's a link to everything I use. Most of the time, I'm working on a family man's budget. So if you want to look at the stuff that I buy, it's never top of the line, but it's good enough to get by until you can't afford top of the line. So go check it out, please. And that's how you rough it out. So the next step is surfacing. And what we got to do with surfacing is we've got, of course, our 2 aluminum angle irons here that are as level as can be expected. Then what we have to do is we've got to find a way to anchor this to the workbench. So I have these Craig dogs that work out really nicely. And then what I'll do sometimes when I've got an irregular piece, I'll just take a shim and slide it in there. You always want to make sure that it's a little below, because of course you're going to be going across this with a router. Okay, that's good and secure. And then I have a sled that I made, just a piece of 3/4 inch plywood, actually kind of junk plywood, and I built a track on the bottom of it and put a little lip on the side here to where it'll just slide right along. And we're going to get to surfacing. Okay, so you want to set your depth. You want to take it down and touch it on the top of the wood. Yep. And what I normally like to do is I like to keep my cable out of the way. Keep it held good in place.